I'm going to put this in here at the beginning of the video just to let everybody know the hand is the wrong way literally the entire time. I'm doing the final edits in between interviews right now, and I had it the right way at first, and then I was like, is that right? And then I thought about it for a long time. I was like, it's wrong, and I reversed it. I had it right before the stream started. I am fixing that in post. Just know that the final version, it will be the correct hand. The hand is the wrong way. Today we're going to be talking about One Piece. As you can see here, I've already worked a bit on the thumbnail. I tend to skip that part of figuring out the composition because it's the least interesting part of the process. We're going to be talking to my friend Kristan today. Kristan, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I am Kristan, and I am, I'm Lyndon's friend.
True.
I've been his friend for, 10, 11 years now. I write a bit in my spare time, and other than that, I just kind of make my way along in life, just like everybody else.
Not much else you can do. So, I brought Kristan on to talk about One Piece because it is a series that has infected my brain about as much as anything can. Like, at all times, my thoughts are at least 10% One Piece. And Kristan is who's responsible for that, because he's who convinced me to watch it.
Yep. I read the first... The library at our high school had only the first edition of the manga, and I read that about 10 times.
Yeah.
When I was 14, 15. And then I said, hey, Lyndon, you should read this. It's really good. And then he never... I didn't realize there was more than one book, so he introduced me to the fact that there was one edition.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Something that I remember that was so funny about how it came out, how it came up was, I was talking about, as a lot of teenagers do, I got really into TV Tropes, the website, and I was like, oh yeah, this concept of the 5-man band, and I was like, okay, Kristan, if you had to make up the 5-man band, which is a worthless trope because they're like, it's these 5 characters, but also you can swap any of them out for these other, 7 different archetypes, so, absolutely worthless trope. The trope is just a group of 5 people with distinct personalities. That's nothing. That isn't a trope. That's a group of 5. But I was like, yeah, who would your brawler be in your group? And you picked Luffy. I had no idea who that was, and I picked the Hulk, and I was like, the Hulk could beat up Luffy. You told me, well, Luffy's rubber, so how would he? I stand by. Hulk could beat up Luffy, absolutely. And I think you even conceded that at some point, but you were like, yeah, but I like Luffy more as a character.
Yeah. I don't remember the conversation, but it rings true, honestly. It rings true. Yeah, I was very much in the, I like this, so nothing is better than it kind of thing. Kind of, you know, how you...
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a better way to interact with media. Who would win is such a silly way. Who would win in a fight between Naruto and Luffy? Naruto. At the end of the series, he could teleport and make suns, and sorry for spoilers for Naruto. Not what you were expecting. And funny, this video's not really gonna have One Piece spoilers, but I did just spoil some shit in Naruto. Yeah, so I'm just drawing,
Ninjas isn't exactly the biggest spoiler.
Yeah, I get...
The first thing that... I don't know, I only read/saw... I guess I didn't see much of it, but I only read half of it. It wasn't the first thing they learned how to do, teleport.
Yeah, but they teleport with restrictions where it's it's not teleporting because actually I wasn't there. It was a stump, and that's not real teleporting. And it's wild because it is the first thing I learned how to do in Naruto, and then at the end of the series it's no. Real teleporting exists, very, very hard and special and cool.
Hard light holograms. No, easy peasy. Teleportation? No, only the masters can do that.
Yeah.
It's gonna make a lot of Naruto fans very angry.
Probably.
No details.
So yeah, I'm just drawing a thing inspired by the very beginning of One Piece because I feel like harkening back, and I think there's this interesting thing you'll notice. I was thinking about this earlier with One Piece fans, where if you ask a One Piece fan what their favorite anime is, they are almost never going to say One Piece, and I think that's because it doesn't feel right to put it in the category of anime because, like, when I think of great anime I love, I think of like a specific story, a specific character, something where there's great animation, and like One Piece feels, and this is going to sound like it makes perfect sense to everyone who's read it, and it's going to sound insane to anyone who's like only tried out the first little bit or who's just seen how goofy it looks. It's more fair to compare it to things like Wheel of Time and Game of Thrones than it is something like Naruto or Mob Psycho or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I would just from a scope standpoint.
Yeah, like, it is less a story, as much as, like, obviously main character and everything important, it's less a story that's just, like, about someone's journey and more like someone's journey is the vehicle that we experience a world through.
Oh, absolutely.
Which I think is, like, very much a thing in epics. Like, fantasy epics are about the world and the setting, and that's definitely how One Piece is. And I think what's brilliant about Oda's storytelling is he's picked an art style that he's made perfectly so that if anyone tries to tell you any of this, they look like an idiot who doesn't know anything about media because they're defending something that looks like a little cartoon show.
Yeah, it's true. Sorry, I just have to. I can't not say it, but currently it looks a little bit like Luffy is fighting a giant thumb. I know it's gonna be a sea monster.
A little bit.
It looks like he's about to be picked up.
Yeah. Like
Emerging hand.
Oh shit! Watch out!
What happened?
Oh no! Oh no, Luffy! No!
What are you doing to this poor rubber boy? Attack on Titan crossover when?
I think what's kind of funny, what got me into One Piece is one of the things that you said that was so convincing was you were talking about how the way Luffy's powers worked, he's rubber, and I was like, no, he's not, and you were like, no, he is, and I was like, that's not how like superpowers work. It's not you are rubber. It's like you are like rubber, and then you were like, well, no, because lightning doesn't affect him, and I was like, what? He's like, rubber?
Yeah, it's like there's no conceit here. It's literally it is what it is, you know?
Yeah, and that was just such a strange idea to me that it got me really interested. I think there's an amazing YouTuber named Murph. Holy shit, I can't say her last name. Napier. It's somewhere in that category. But she's awesome, and she pointed out something that I think is really cool, that One Piece is what's called absurdist literature, and the difference between absurdism and surrealism is just that in surrealism, the whole point is nothing makes sense, and that's constantly the play on it, whereas absurdism makes no sense to the world we're in, but it follows its own rules. So basically every isekai is absurdist because it follows video game rules, but to the characters, those are like real things that matter to them. And One Piece is like that, where the rules it follows are nothing like the rules of our world, and if you're not used to engaging with absurdist media, it's actually really hard to get used to that.
Yeah.
But it is true to its own rules and to the characters within the story. They take it seriously. Like, to them, this cartoon world isn't silly because it's all they know. So when they tackle themes like slavery and racism shockingly well, it actually comes across with a lot of punch because to the characters within the world, they take it seriously.
Yeah. I like, honestly, what makes Luffy the character... Luffy is the main character by default. We already sort of discussed how it's sort of the epic, and the story is about him, but only because he's important from the world's
point of view.
The world's point of view. Like, he's the default main character, and I think the reason he's so successful as a main character is because he manages to treat a lot of the issues. Like, he's an outsider because he's a pirate.
He's a pirate. He shows up on an island. He doesn't have a relationship with the island itself. Maybe some of its inhabitants he's met, but not the island.
Exactly. So he's a good stand-in for an audience, for an absurdist. um, for an absurdist story like this because he doesn't have the same connections we do, so he can treat things a little more lightly in the same way that we as the reader would.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing where Luffy represents the perfect reader, and this isn't like a theory I'm coming in with. I kind of realize this from what you said. He represents the perfect view of an audience stand-in character perspective, because just like the audience, Luffy gives zero shits about something broadly. Like, if you just describe this is a bad thing, Luffy's like, ah, whatever, not my problem. It's only through interactions with people that Luffy comes to care about things, which is exactly how audiences interact with literature, where we're like, oh yeah, you can say slavery is a problem, but whatever. But then you see a character you like get taken into slavery, and you're like, what the fuck?
Like, come on.
Like
those hundreds of people in that prison, I don't really honestly care whether they're innocent or not, because they're just, 2 centimeter high pictures on a page. But, as soon as you zoom in and, like, get a view of their unique looking facial pattern, then hey, suddenly give a damn.
Yeah. And that's how people work. Everything in the abstract we can intellectualize as like, yeah, I care about this, but we can't like care on an emotional level. But once there's a face to it, we do. And I think, yeah, Luffy's a perfect way to interact with an absurdist piece of media because he acts like the audience, where it's like when something is broad, he has no connection to it. It's only when it's connected to a person he cares about that suddenly, like, this matters a lot to him and he's willing to punch whoever caused the problem. Because until very recently, that's about, like, his only tool for fixing stuff, and it's still the main one. He's just learned some leadership skills along the way.
Now he can punch, tangentially related things to make people like him more. So
yeah.
They will punch things.
He can also punch conceptual problems. Not really, but, like, just has finally learned how to motivate people without just being like, look how brave I am, and people go, damn, that kid sure is brave.
My favorite part of the series so far was when he punched slavery and it died.
Yeah, God, that dude did punch slavery.
How much swearing are we allowed on this show?
Okay, so Twitch terms of service, I'm pretty sure we can use anything that isn't a slur, so let's, I don't think that's going to be an issue for the two of us, but, worth noting. And for YouTube, it's bad if you curse in the first, like, minute or something, but we're a few minutes in, so it's no problem.
Okay. That's when the robot overlord gives a damn.
I have no idea what the logic is. It's something like, if you go into the explicit right away, you're just doing it for the sake of it, so it's bad, instead of like it being just a part of how humans... YouTube, the way they change monetization rules is effectively, how can we pay the fewest people without everyone getting so mad that they'll actually leave the website? That being creators.
Yeah,
Like, at this point, if you're a creator, you are going in knowing that, like, many of your videos will be demonetized, and that's how it is. And they are just trying to strike the balance of what percentage of videos are we okay demonetizing from every creator, where they won't, like, actually leave the platform because of it.
Yeah. I'm not going to pretend to understand it either. But, like, there seems to be, like, a really huge gap between people, like, I'm not going to name any names because names, but like people who make let's say like $30 million a year doing YouTube videos, and people who, they're marginally successful and they don't, like, I don't know how much money, like, because clearly some people are making enough money for it to be worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, Kristan, how many times have you had Raid Shadow Legends recommended to you?
I mean, maybe once a day for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Hey, Raid, if you're out there, I'll do one, but I want it to be a good one. So if you're gonna reach out, it's got to be a good one. I'll talk to you about that. I'll talk to you about the details.
It will be surrealist and disjointed.
I don't want to say what it is because I genuinely, if it happens, would be fun. But I have an idea for what I'd like to do as a raid ad already, because they reach out to everybody. If this channel gets a modicum of success, I'm going to hear from them. And it will. So, sub, be part of the ground floor.
So, is it going to involve a group of ants shouting, "Raid"?
No. No, not that, unfortunately.
I'm sure that's been done somewhere, somehow.
Probably.
Just like how it's hard to talk about One Piece without. I mean, it's so popular, you know. It's hard
Yeah.
to talk about anything.
Well, I feel
without-
like it's in this weird place of popularity where it's very popular, obviously, but in English-speaking countries, there's like a weird amount of stigma for it, and I think part of that's the 4Kids dub, but I think we've moved past... We're long enough past the 4Kids dub that I don't think that shadow's looming over quite as much as it was, but I do want to real quick explain for any Zoomers or anime newcomers out there who maybe don't know about this. One Piece, we've already mentioned, it talks about slavery and racism and everything. Because it looks the way it did, the company 4Kids that really, really loves to make kids' entertainment even more child-friendly, they're the people who decided Brock can't eat rice balls in Pokemon because Western kids won't understand what rice is, so it's got to be a jelly donut. Which led to every kid being like, what the fuck? That is not a jelly donut, my man. Much more confusing than if they just said rice balls, and I'd be like, I don't know what that is, but neat. But they basically accidentally bought One Piece as part of a package deal because its aesthetic was making it not really take on with English translators, so it was being sold way cheaper than it should be for how popular it was in Japan at the time, because it wasn't as huge as it is now, but it was very big. And they tried their darndest to do everything they could to make it work for kids, and they did not succeed, but they sure did try.
Oh boy, did they try.
What I love is the part they got to is a part where there's a boat falling out of the sky on top of the Straw Hat Pirates, and they're all screaming like, oh my god, and they didn't buy any more episodes after that. So in the 4Kids canon, that ship landed on Luffy and pals, and they died.
It's the most awkward alternate timeline for Luffy and friends.
A ship just falls out of the sky and does kill them.
Oh man, can you imagine if that was picked up as like a consistent and popular trope for like any and all like children's programming?
Abandoned dubs.
Abandoned dubs, or like, you know, some non-sequitorial disastrous event kills all the characters and the show is done forever. You know? Like, oh no, the Care Bears were all presumably killed because a sedan fell off.
Yeah, Grey's Anatomy ends a season on one of their, like, there's a disaster cliffhangers, so, like, the hospital's on fire! And then it never gets picked up again, the actors go on strike or something, it's gone forever, and we have to assume they all just died.
It just cuts to stock image of a building being demolished. This is badly photoshopped. What is the hospital? The name
Oh,
of the hospital.
God. It changes at one point. Memorial Grey? Oh, God. All you Grey's Anatomy fans out there, correct me in the comments. All the Grey's Anatomy fans who came to watch the One Piece discussion, hit me up in the comments and tell me I'm not a real Grey's Anatomy fan because I don't remember the name of the hospital.
Hey, Lyndon, I have something to tell you. I think you might not be a real Grey's Anatomy fan.
Oh, fuck. They're already here? So yeah, going back a ways, I think in the West there's this weird stigma where so someone went around a con asking the question, what's the worst anime of all time? And the most popular pick was One Piece. And I think that still exists as a bit of a stereotype among people that, like, it's as bad as it looks, it's not very good, and everyone who says they like it just has bad taste. And, like, I think it really does just come down to the aesthetic, that we're used to anime that is good looking cool and being rad, and And One Piece looks kind of dorky and silly when you first get into it. It's really hard to get over the aesthetic for a while until you kind of realize, no, it actually lends itself to the story, because it is a cartoon world that takes cartoon logic kind of seriously. But you don't get that right away. It's tough. And you can see that, like, in all sorts of places. Like, there's two book YouTubers, Murph Napier and, it's not John Green. It's not Hank Green. Something Green. Oh my god, that's gonna kill me. Oh well. Sorry, man. Who had to be pressured by their audience into giving One Piece a shot because they hated what it looked like, and they love it now. Mother's Basement even used to make fun of One Piece and call it overrated, and then eventually he was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. And the thumbnails for the 2 videos he did after he watched it said, oh god, the fanboys were right, and One Piece is too powerful. Like, it is as good as we all say, it just looks like it won't be.
One Piece is definitely the baklava of anime. Looks like crap. Tastes great. Yeah. And there's layers too.
Yeah. You know what? Just like baklava, it looks like crap at the surface, but once you get into it, there's an appeal to the aesthetic.
Yeah.
You just got to get beneath the surface.
Even if you don't like it at first, you know, the almonds. The almonds are nice.
Oh man, it's also just like, I don't know anything better at setup and payoff, because Oda, the author, Eiichiro Oda, is the most patient goddamn author to ever exist. Things will be set up and then paid off like literal in real life years later, like decades later on occasion.
Like, he's got to have pieces of paper pinned to his walls with, hey, remember this? Got to pay this off at some point.
You got to get back to that. Remember, you said that's important. But like,
there's no way he's reading back through all these chapters looking for things that he could conceivably say, this is a thing that I'm paying off now. He doesn't have time to draw.
Maybe. I feel like sometimes he might, because there's things like Bartolomeo, who later on says he was inspired by being in the place where Luffy almost died and seeing the way Luffy faced death. That's not a spoiler, guys. Come on. He says he was inspired by it, and he's like, wow, so that made me a fan of you. There is a character all the way back then who in the audience looks kind of like Bartolomeo in the audience. There's no fucking way he had that planned back then. So I think sometimes he probably does just go, hang on, I have an idea. Let me go back and see if I can make this continuity cool.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with filling in gaps.
Yeah,
You know,
I think that's fine.
I've heard a lot of people complain about that method of storytelling, but honestly, like, it's a gap. It's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Why not make use of it?
And if an author is leaving those places on purpose in their narrative, where, like, you know, they'll explain things if they feel like it's important to, but they won't if it's not, it creates a situation where, like, yeah, it's just satisfying to, like, reference and fill in and make things stronger. And, oh, God, I love that form of storytelling. I think there's places where it doesn't feel as good, but, like, I don't know, there's a lot of it that I like. So, for instance, like, for filling in gaps, let's talk about Star Wars real fast. I think Rogue One is a good example of filling in gaps being perfectly fine and reasonable, and I think that the Obi-Wan series, to me, is filling in gaps in a way that I don't like, because it feels less like something was left there to be filled in, and more like they're just adding time. Like, the idea of Obi-Wan going on an adventure to fight Darth Vader and finding out about Darth Vader while Luke was a teen. I guess, like, the gap there is that he recognized Anakin when he saw him, despite having never seen his sweet robot body before. But also, like, doesn't it make it weird that Princess Leia was like, yeah, my relationship with you, Obi-Wan, is that you helped my dad one time, not that we went on a space rollicking adventure together when I was a child.
I mean, this is setting aside the picked over sort of carcass of the idea that everything after Star Wars: A New Hope is just filling in gaps.
Yeah.
Like there isn't any way that they knew that Luke and Leia were brother and sister.
Yeah.
There isn't any way that they knew that there was going to be another Death Star. They just wanted to print more money with this money printing machine.
Yep.
You know? And what came of it is awesome and great and cool, and many people love it.
It is a lot of gap filling. Like, it's not everything needs to be planned from the start, and sometimes you can go back in and fill in gaps, and it's fun. And sometimes it's not as good as others. But I think, like most things in writing, it really is just execution. Like, how well are you pulling this off? Because if you do a good job, I think, like, most things in writing are cool. And if you do a bad job, most things suck.
Yeah. That's kind of it's all just a thin veneer. Like the everything that goes into it is, it's footnotes. What matters is what's on the page and how you're enjoying it.
It's maybe not the most insightful thing to say. Hey, did you know that when things are done badly, they're worse? But like,
if it had been done differently, it would be different. Yeah.
But it is, I think, the more fair way of talking about media than acting like there are a lot of ways of writing that are inherently good, there are a lot of ways that are inherently bad. It's just like what certain pitfalls are in each type of thing. Like, I think you can make a good prequel. Just because I can't think of one off the top of my head doesn't mean you can't. It has a lot of pitfalls you got to watch out for. You got to make sure you're not in the situation where all of the characters with any tension and story are the people who we know how their story turns out. You have to make sure that, like, you aren't making things dumber by actually explaining it. Because I was just talking to Sean on a stream and pointed out that in the Horus Heresy and 40K, they make a lot of what sounded like cool mythos and crazy lore events really stupid, and people just acting dumb out of nowhere because, the story said that they were in point A at a certain point, so they got to go there.
Yeah.
And I think sequel series also, you need to worry about that they're not just like lounging on the goodwill built up by the first series, which I really want to say, I hope there is no sequel series to One Piece and that when it's over, it's over.
It would be nice to put a button on it for sure.
Yeah. Like,
heck, I don't even know if I want to, would you want there to be, one of that old sitcom style things where there's a freeze frame and it says, Zoro went on to open a takoyaki stand with Orochi. And
I know you're picking random names that you don't like spoil things for people, but that image is very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't want that. Like, and I think that's because One Piece because it feels like epic fantasy more than it feels like shonen. Like, I actually like Naruto's ending. Before Boruto, I like Naruto's ending where it's like, and they all got what they wanted. They went off and blah blah blah. Like, I think that's good for what Naruto is because it was very much a story about a certain few people. But because One Piece feels like epic fantasy, it feels like this mythic story. I kind of just want it to end feeling mythic. I want it to feel like a book is closed. And, like, the one thing I will say at the end, is to find out who the narrator is.
Yeah. And
Because I feel like the narrator is a character because their perspective and the way they say certain things feels not like they're a perfectly omniscient narrator who, like, absolutely knows everything is going on and is very impartial. Like, they feel like they are part of the world.
Well, that could be Oda.
It could be Oda.
Because everyone ascribes godlike authorship to him.
Yeah. I mean, in the community, the most popular thing to call him other than Oda is Goda. For God or Gada. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. It works better spelled.
It does. It's something that doesn't leap off the page or off the tongue very easily.
Yeah, kind of hard to make sense of.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I don't know if anyone he's certainly Goda. Difficult to say it is. But like the fandom likes to, I guess, hence the Goda. They like to be like, oh, he knows everything. He's pulling all these narrative strings. He's got it all figured out. But like, he's a dude.
Yeah, and sometimes he does just make shit up on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, so you know how important the supernovas are, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know the story about their creation?
I don't think I do.
He was explaining his plan for the Sabayati archipelago to one of his editors, and his editor was like, I don't think there's enough here. I think that if you try to go into the emotional end of this arc and not enough has happened, we haven't seen enough new things and spent enough time here, it's not going to work. I think you need to add something. So the day before he wrote the chapter where the new supernovas are introduced, he was like, okay, what if there were other great rookie pirates like Luffy, not quite on his level, but like more up-and-coming upstarts, and they showed up here at the same time, representing that like they're all kind of on track and adding to this idea of the great pirate age that we have going on.
Yeah.
And that was just then because the editor said that, and they are immensely important. Like, they're the symbols of the new era now.
Well, that's awesome, though. Like,
yeah.
That's a good way to write a story, is by taking new ideas and incorporating them and making them important.
Yeah.
So I think Oda could 100% be the narrator.
I could see it. Oh, God. There's a theory I watched, but I don't remember the details because One Piece theories are insane. I'm going to say, like, so One Piece theorists out there, just if all of you out there are like, yeah, you don't understand, it's about parallels. Parallels are dumb. Parallels are incredibly dumb. It is not how you should figure out a story. They're great in retrospect, and One Piece uses parallels a lot to be like, oh yeah, this awesome thing, and way back in time, there's another thing that was very similar. Like Nolan was similar to Roger, whatever. That's great. In post, they're great for like observation and dissection. But for theories, they're useless because you can parallel anything with anything if you're looking for a reason to explain a theory to be true. Like, they are infinitely applicable if you're looking towards the future, to the point that I think they're genuinely useless as part of a theory.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. It's too malleable to be, yeah.
And people will say, but Oda does use parallel. Absolutely. He uses more parallels than basically any author I've ever read. It's his favorite goddamn thing is parallel structures. But everything can be a parallel to everything.
Until it's inked on the page, you can't know. You know, it's too... It is too applicable.
Yeah, like, if you want to know how useless parallels are, ask 3 One Piece fans what any post-time skip arc other than Dressrosa parallels for pre-time skip arc, and they will give you a different answer. Like, Dressrosa is genuinely the only one that people will agree on what it's supposed to parallel.
Yeah. All right, so can we talk about the show up until the latest anime episodes?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely on the table. All right, everybody, if you don't watch One Piece, don't worry about leaving, honestly, because there's so much to it that you'll forget most of what we said by the time you get to the point that anything's relevant.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Also, you can enjoy it if it's spoiled.
Yeah,
Everyone's not worrying about spoilers so much.
And we're not going to spoil the biggest things.
Yeah.
If we are about to spoil the biggest things, I'll put another spoiler warning.
Well, so, Luffy punches Kaido. Big spoiler.
Yeah.
Big fucking spoiler. Luffy punches Kaido at some point.
Yeah.
And, like, and you know what? You could say that the series should have ended when he punched Kaido because the parallel of him punching a big snake monster at the beginning of the series. You know, it really marks a nice bookend.
Yeah, his journey starts with punching a big fish snake. Clearly, it should end with punching a big fish snake.
Yeah, and you know what? He's achieved a really, like, a monumental thing as in regards to piracy. So, you know, let's just end the story here. Parallels, people.
Parallels. And you know what? Actually, if you think about it, parallels. The series at the very beginning. What is he fights an obese woman, and she has a big spiked club, really, by fighting Kaido and Big Mom at the rooftop, confronting them, he came full circle to the villains he started with, because Fish Snake, Big Club, and Obese Woman. Parallels. It's the ending.
And Law has a sword. Zoro had a sword. He made friends with Law, you know.
Parallels. Yeah, and... by the way, I'm not saying... I think parallels are great when you're dissecting. Like, I actually think all of these parallels are kind of cool when you think about them in post, but as far as using them prescriptively, they're useless.
They are. Also, find me a single passage in the manga or the show that proves that the big eel monster at the beginning of the show wasn't Kaido.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
He's actually the Kaido's big eel monster's dad. It's Yamato's brother.
That's fucked up. He was the first beast fighter. He went too far.
The smile fruit did not turn out right.
No, there's a very small man attached to the back of that eel monster.
Yeah, the smile user. He's just right here. What's wild is the fish part isn't weak to water. Devil fruits make you weak to water, but the fish part is not. It doesn't have that problem. It's just the guy. So every time it goes underwater, he's freaking the fuck out.
Is he dead? Is he just partially skeletized?
God, yeah. I genuinely... If you kill the human part of a smile user, I think it varies smile to smile if the animal dies.
Oh, man, yeah.
Like, I think, like, the dude who just lives in a chicken butt, yes, I know I said this is epic fantasy. I promise it is, despite the sentence I just said. The dude who lives in a chicken butt, I think if he dies, the chicken's fine.
No, yeah, absolutely. The chicken is probably going to suffer a serious case of sepsis and die eventually.
Eventually, unless, like, attended to by a surgeon.
Yeah.
Have the man removed.
Hey, Doc. I have a man in my ass. Please remove him.
Why is there a man attached to your ass? Look, it's a long story.
When I died, the sentience transferred to me, the chicken.
So, I'm a magic fruit, you see.
Oh, I understand. I live in this universe.
I live here. This makes sense to me now. I just needed to know you were a magic fruit.
Yeah. I was an avocado. Well, that makes sense. That's a weird fruit.
Oh, God. Look, if you were out there, if you've listened to all of this, and you have yet to try reading One Piece, give it a shot. I promise you'll like it. It's going to feel like you won't at first, probably, or at the very least, it's going to feel like you won't like it enough to warrant how highly everyone speaks of it. I promise it's as good as they say.
One Piece is the avocado of anime manga. It looks weird, but it's also one of the most popular things out there. But a lot of people also hate it and won't stand it.
Okay, you know what? We're going to keep a tally here on the stream. One Piece is an avocado. What was the baklava? How do you spell baklava? You know what? We're just going to definitely do it wrong. That way no one can get mad.
Just write balaclava.
I wrote baklava.
One Piece is the balaclava of anime and manga.
Yeah. Oh, so we're going to keep a tally here of the things that One Piece is.
Yeah. One Piece is the balaclava of anime and manga.
All right, you know what? If you're going to keep saying it, I'm going to change it to baklava or fuck, I don't know how to spell balaclava.
It's pretty phonetic, actually.
Well, I wrote a phonetic version, so if I'm wrong, sue me.
Baklava? Is that... I think I met a guy with the username Baklava, like 78 or something.
Yeah?
He just really liked classical music.
That guy's a big fan of the classics.
Yeah. Although some would argue that Bach isn't the class.
Oh, God. The semantics there.
Let's get into it. I know enough about this type of conversation.
Yeah, I, as people want to point out whenever I talk about the history of art, I am very uneducated when it comes to the history of art.
I think it's fine to talk about things that you're uneducated in, as long as you Except that there are people who will yell at you for it.
All right, everybody, I'm uneducated about the history of art. Bot counts as classical. Sue me. That's my take.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just making a joke about Bach not being what he appears to be because he's wearing a balaclava.
Jesus Christ, that's so bad. You know, recent events make it clear why Oda was like, actually, these characters aren't dark-skinned, because apparently that means something, because of course it did. Everything means something in One Piece. But I do kind of miss Luffy's old skin tone.
I never noticed that it changed.
Oh yeah, no, in the time skip they went to be accurate to how Oda paints him in the manga. In the anime, Luffy used to be pretty tanned.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, Usopp, Robin, and Luffy were all a lot darker in pre-time skip, but then they changed to be manga accurate to the color spreads Oda does when they entered the second half.
Oh, for a second I thought you meant they were just, gray.
Yeah, so they adapted it. In the manga they were gray, so they wanted to be accurate to that.
A lot of cross-hatching? Actually, not a lot. It's not his style.
No. More of some downward lines if the need is be.
Yep. Down the line. He's depressed. He has the downward facial lines of sadness.
That's how you can tell someone's sad, is when they grow downward facial lines.
Yeah.
If your friends have downward facial lines, reach out. They need you.
Downward. It's almost a yoga position. Not quite.
Downward facial lines. Alright, everybody, we're going to be switching into downward facial lines.
Make sure to really capture your dramatically unhappy mood.
If anyone needs to try to light a cigarette in the rain, now would be the time.
If you're not feeling it, you might accidentally get the eyes in shadow of anger.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's a beginner mistake, but you work through it. Try to reduce that darkness into single, individuated, vertical lines of sadness.
Okay. The eyedropper tool on my stylus keeps not working, and it slows me down at grabbing colors. What color would the tongue of this fucker be? There we go.
The blue honestly looks pretty good.
Do we want to go blue?
It looks
That's kind of sick though. Yeah, I think we like the blue.
Yeah, like a skink.
Yeah. Kaido's son, the first smile fruit user, is part skink. Confirmed.
But it's real fucked up because he lives in the ocean and not the desert.
You're not supposed to be here.
What's wrong with you? I'm a fruit. Oh, that sounds... Oh, no. Oops.
Oh, God. Yeah, I am so grateful for you for introducing me to One Piece, because it's nice to have an obsession that hasn't let me down. Because everyone I know who was like really into Naruto or really, really into Star Wars or anything has had to at some point go, I've been betrayed, I've been abandoned, I've been failed. And like, One Piece is coming up on 25 years and has yet to drop the ball.
Honestly, I think that I'm happy to hear you. I'm happy that you're still enjoying it. And, I'm gratified that, how do I put it? I'm really, it's honestly gratifying that, thank you for saying that, man. I'm glad that my, recommendation went so well.
Yeah. Sometimes you put your name on something as a recommendation, and it turns out that was the wrong move. No, this was a good recommendation. Solid 10 out of 10, and I'm very grateful, because it genuinely is probably my favorite piece of media to ever exist.
No, like, yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly been a really awesome connection for us. I think it has helped us like stay like in contact with one another over all these years. You know.
Honestly, genuinely, because like, yeah, it's fun when there's big events to reach out and talk about it. And it's nice to have those grounding points.
It's good to have that touchstone.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hard to disagree about One Piece.
Yeah, like the minutia, sure, but like overall, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, I was worried that this was going to be a bit too ambitious to take on, but this is actually coming together.
I love the swooping horizon. Is there a term? Is there a technical term for swooping horizon?
If there is, I am too uneducated about art to tell you.
That's fair.
Yeah, originally it was going to be like bulges of water was how I was thinking of it, but then as I got going, I was like, no, I kind of like this being a swooping horizon.
It's some convex, there's concave. I don't know. Fisheye.
Fisheye horizon.
Fisheye horizon.
Can I just say real quick, something that is awesome in Oda's art is how well he portrays scale. Like, giant things feel so fucking massive.
Yeah. And he does it without sacrificing detail somehow.
Yeah. Dude's crazy. I mean, he does sleep, like, hours a day. Or 3 hours a day or something crazy. Like, nothing. Apparently some people do just need less sleep than others, so hopefully he's one of those and he's not just, like, actually killing himself.
I've heard that. But I've also heard that literally the only way to get ahead in life is by being miserable. So maybe he's just miserable.
Maybe. He seems to enjoy himself. Apparently he really likes throwing parties, which is part of why I actually really love the One Piece theory that that Luffy's true dream is to throw a party for the entire world.
I don't know why that would make everyone go, what?
I mean, that's the thing. If he phrased it like, I want to throw a party where every person shows up, like the entire world shows up, maybe? Because then people would be like, that's literally impossible.
Yeah, no, that...
Holy fuck, have you read the most recent chapter?
I think
the,
so.
The TCB scan?
I read them all yesterday.
Okay.
Oh, not the TCB scan.
Hey, Kristan, go read that real quick. On stream, you were going to be reading it while I'm going to be vamping. Yes.
I forget where it is. How do I get there?
Just search TCB scan on your browser. It should autocomplete. I mean, I don't condone pirating. Don't go to TCB. Kristan,
I'm not going to TCB. That's not where I am.
Yeah, he's not on TCB. He's not going there. I don't read the chapters early.
I'm reading a comprehensive description of the latest chapter.
Yeah, he's reading a comprehensive description from those dirty scoundrels who are pirating content. And here, I'm just gonna... Everybody?
Oh crap, Lyndon! It looks like they've just put up an ASCII.
I have merch. I support it. I buy content. I'm not...
He's not a monster.
I'm not a monster. Oh wait, fuck! It's blocked.
What?
Oh, you said something about an ASCII?
Oh no! I was making a joke about how it looks like a description, but it's just an ASCII image.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It's a bad joke.
What?
I'll also have to zoom out a lot to actually... Oh no, never mind. It's just a scan. I just saw the matrix a little bit.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But I'm not there. I'm not looking at.
Yeah, he's not looking at it. He's not looking at it. I promise. Even if we talk about it, I'm not going to spoil anything that hasn't been in the anime yet. 100%. I just came to a little realization that I need to check in with Kristan about. So while Kristan is reading a comprehensive description of the newest chapter, let's talk a little bit about this art. I just really wanted to draw this because I don't know. I have such nostalgia for this early part of One Piece now. This thing that's become a huge part of my life. And just wanted to, like, make something that felt very classic early One Piece. Because at this point, it's huge, it's epic. Like I said, epic fantasy, the entire point is it's about a character who it changes the world. It's about a character who's a big part of the world. That way, while the story's about the character, it's more about the world itself. And that's where we are now. But you can't start at that point. And when One Piece started, it really was just a story about a silly rubber boy on an adventure to become the king of the pirates. An ambiguous term that we don't even fully know what it means, and to our main character just means the person in the world with the most freedom. And going back to that, like, simplicity and that charm and appeal, I like One Piece better now, but it's not like there wasn't something special about what it was that has been lost. And I think that's kind of unavoidable when something goes from feeling like another shonen adventure about a boy on a quest to becoming something that feels like it's about an entire world that exists and is full of life and characters. So I think I just really wanted to get to that initial charm. That's not any better, but is definitely different. And I'm going to keep talking about that for a little bit longer because the description is going to take a little bit to finish, I think.
True. Also, I cannot listen and read.
Yeah, no, don't bother responding. You're busy reading a comprehensive description.
I'm busy reading a comprehensive description.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a good stream guest.
Yes. So, I encourage everybody out there who's watching this video on the Drawk Show VODs channel to subscribe. Subscribe. It's going to help. This thing's going to take off. We are going to space, and you want to be on the ground floor because you're going to be like, I was subscriber number 30 when we're up past 1 million. And second thing you want to do is actually just read One Piece. It's great. You're going to enjoy it. I don't recommend watching the anime because it's going to take so goddamn long. And sometimes it's brilliant. Like, it truly is amazing sometimes. But it produces a weekly series. It's not like My Hero and a lot of newer shonen where it's very, like, concise and does seasons and feels like it's produced the way a TV show should. They have been stretching out content into an episode a week for decades now. And the pacing of that just makes it so hard to get through. As a teenager, it took me 6 months when there was about half as much One Piece that existed. Oh, holy shit, I've been with the series for nearly half the lifespan now. That's crazy. And it still took me 6 months as a teenager without, like, responsibilities or a job or anything. So Viz Manga, if you're not in Europe, Viz Manga's $2 a month. You can read all of the chapters if you sign up for their Shounen reading series. It's great. Highly recommend it. It's how I keep up to date with the official translations. And it's how I read things like Chainsaw Man, too. It's just a great service. I 100% recommend it. Now, gonna get a little bit more detailing done on the water here. Obviously, only giving ourselves 90 minutes about to do these means I'm not going to get as detailed as I would love to, but I'm going to get what I can done so that the rendering we put in later looks as nice as it can. So we're just going to add in some white here. Water is one of those things that, like, anytime I look at someone else rendering water, I'm like, damn, I wish I understood water well enough to do that. So you might question then, if I feel as though I don't know how to render it, why did I choose to do this for the image? Well, I just wanted to, despite it, because it seemed fun. Is it? That's the entire reason. It seemed like it'd be a fun composition. All right, we're gonna flip the canvas real quick to see if anything looks really weird. A couple things that I can change. Yeah. Sorry, I got in the deep focus mode here, thinking about how to make this framing a little bit nicer. If you're out there watching the VOD right now, I have a question for everybody out there watching the VOD right now. If you do watch or read One Piece, what's your favorite arc? Because I think mine is genuinely Wano, but it's tough to know if it compares to Enies Lobby. I think if you're watching the anime, so you're not at the end of Wano, it's a little bit harder to compare. I think there are some issues with the ending, unfortunately. But the highs along the way were so high that nothing's going to compete with it for me. Like, I smiled at the near the end of Wano, the current arc in the anime, previous arc in the manga, more than I have in pretty much any reading experience I've ever had. It's just amazing. It's such a great time. I'm curious if other people out there feel the same way, or because it has a lot of detractors, I've noticed. There's a lot of people who feel like it was a bit bloated and the pacing wasn't as good, and I think that's 100% true. And I think for me it just comes down to, do you value more conciseness and storytelling with something like Enies Lobby or Marineford, or do you value something that's hitting these really high highs and accomplishing a lot and changing the entire story the way that Wano did? I think those are probably Marineford and Enies Lobby. I know pre-Wano were the arcs that everybody saw as the best. Like, they were the ones. You know what's a great thing about One Piece? If you don't know anything about it, the arc names sound like absolute nonsense. They're all just named after an island. So, Enies Lobby, that's an island. It sounds like it's not an island, but it is. Wano, that's an island. Alabasta Island, Marineford Island. It actually kind of creates some problems, I think, with how they set up the arcs, because there's a lot of there's a lot of arcs, like Whole Cake Island, that to me feels like two distinct arcs, two different storylines that just happen to take place on the same island. And I think considering it all one story feels off and really makes the first half, which feels like its own story, flipping again, not feel as nice as it otherwise would, if that makes sense.
I am back.
He's back. All right.
Let's not talk about it now.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about details, but I wanted to say, didn't the dream of having a party where everyone in the world can attend just become possible?
It literally did.
Right?
Like quite. Like,
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
100%.
Yeah. That's why I wanted you to read it, because, like, this chapter, if Luffy's dream is a party where every person in the world can attend, that just became possible. And if anyone's thinking that's a spoiler, let me tell you, you could not guess what that means.
There's no way.
Like,
it is as close to just fucking random as it gets.
Yeah, but absolutely, it just became possible, and I think that, to me, lends a lot of credence to that theory, because the reason a lot of people were against the party theory was because the only version of it that sounded like it was big enough to warrant everybody being like, that's dumb, what the fuck, was the version of it where it's, I want to throw a party where everyone in the world can attend. And everyone was like, well, yeah, of course people would react that way, but, like, that's impossible. Like, it couldn't happen, so Oda wouldn't make that his dream. Well, that's possible now.
I have a question as to why, if that is his dream, like, why is that the kind of thing that you don't say out loud?
I think just because he just didn't think to. Because when Luffy revealed it to his crew, he was like, did I not tell y'all?
Yeah, but from a narrative standpoint, what's the point in keeping it a secret if that's what it is?
Well, because there is the theory that the One Piece is Bink Sake, so if that theory is true, the reason is basically to not make people think of that. I do like that theory a lot, that the One Piece is Bink Sake.
If it is, and the first thing, and one of the first things people guessed was that he wants to throw a party for everyone in the world, then that's a lot. Yeah, no, then that's the first, like, one of the first things everyone guesses is the correct thing. That would be nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it's based off of two things, which are Oda was asked what Luffy's favorite things to do are, and he said adventure and throwing parties. And when Oda was asked what his favorite things are, he said throwing parties for his friends was his favorite thing.
I mean, what is art if not a reflection of the artist?
Yep.
Which is why, as we all know, Oda is made of rubber.
Oda is made of rubber and bizarrely proportioned in a way that feels like it couldn't make sense.
And cannot swim.
And can't swim. Man can't swim. Fun fact about Oda, he can't swim.
It's one of those things.
But yeah, I love the idea of Luffy's dream being throwing a party for the entire world, because I think some of my favorite parts of the series are every time the group solves a problem and afterwards they just get to fucking party. Feels so celebratory.
Yeah.
I just love every time the crew gets to, like, be celebrated for how awesome they are and all the things they've accomplished, and when an island that feels like it was on the brink of collapse, everything's good.
Yeah, it's one of the really well done aspects of it is the sense of jubilation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very jubilant piece of media.
Yeah.
The party scenes were, it's just there's no restraint in the joy of it,
Mm-hmm.
It's really charming.
Absolutely. So I think I'm gonna, after I get some of this line art colored, because I like how that looks for the ocean and clouds a bit better, I'm gonna get a basic render going. I'm gonna just be trying to add a little bit of depth, some very basic shading. When I'm in my off time, I like to do my shading with individually picked colors. With the time frame I give myself, it's just way too costly for time to be color picking for each and every bit of shading. So we're going to use a multiply layer. And for sunny days, I like to use a dark blue for a lot of contrast.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. Everyone is sort of told that the sun is yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So daylight is yellow, but it's really all blue, isn't it?
Yeah. The reason you use I was kind of wrong about this for a long time, but the reason you use blue shading when you're doing sunny days is I just watched a video with I can't remember names, an art guy. And he said that the reason you use blue is because the direct light of the sun that hits your skin and is reflected is a very bright yellow. But all of the ambient light that isn't direct is being reflected through the sky as a lens, and that's the softer light that bounces off of things and fills everything. So because it's coming from all directions, it's the reason you can see it all where the sunlight doesn't directly touch, which means that the light you're seeing within the shadow is blue, so everything's being illuminated blue. And then there's also just the fact that your eyes color adjust. So your eyes color adjust to the ambient yellow light, and because of that, everything is made more blue, so the places where there isn't yellow light is made even bluer. So those are the two reasons that for a sunny day, it's usually a deep blue is what you would be shading things with.
You'll notice it, like, if you're in a place with a lot of snow.
Mm-hmm.
on like during dawn or dusk. If you see any snow in shadow, you'll always see that the shadow is a bright blue.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to argue, got into a huge argument with my father actually, because I said, so if the sun wasn't in the sky, what color would everything be cast in? And he said, well, if there's no sun, there's no light. And I'm like, well, work with me. Imagine if the sun wasn't there, but the sky still refracted as much light as
Somehow.
And he said, well, that wouldn't work because there'd be no sun. And I'm like, no, come on.
Yeah, I know that, man. Come on.
And we never ever got to the. He would not cop to the idea that anything that the sky could be bright without the sun.
Of course it couldn't, but like,
No,
work with me, man.
Let's pretend.
Yeah, your dad is the only person I know who loves a semantic argument so much that he will not get to a semantic argument because he has stopped himself with a semantic argument.
Yeah. He'll argue himself into a semantic before he will engage you on your semantic.
Yeah. I realize I forgot something. I forgot to make your eyes red, sir.
Yeah, he's just got resting bitch face right now. He's not actually mad. That's just how he is.
So the reason I do this white layer is that I can really easily grab what I'm using for shading when I need it.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah. Because a multiply layer will appear as it actually is, like its proper color when it's on white. So it's a way of, instead of needing to scroll through and hit normal every time I want to grab the color, I can just do that.
Yeah, makes sense. I honestly struggled when I dabbled in the digital art. I always wondered, like, how do I grab the same shade again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually.
Yeah, that's my pro tip, is white. Multiply layers show up as themselves on white. Not every render style does. Like, overlay, I think, will still be different than it is. But if you're using multiply, you can put a white layer underneath, and whenever you make it visible, you'll get the color you want.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about the... No, there's definitely something about seeing someone who knows what they're doing do their thing, especially when it's something you've tried to do. It's just really, like, there's a very visceral sense of satisfaction watching you just put the shading on and going, that looks 10,000 times better than everything I've ever tried. He literally just splashed it because because he's doing the right thing. And I know that it comes from, like, you've done this like 10,000 times, you know.
Not 10,000, but a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
So, like, there's nothing to say that, oh, I could do this. Like, now that I know what color to use, I could totally achieve what you've achieved here. No, like, I'm not saying that, but like,
I get you.
Someone who's tried it and not gotten it, seeing you do it, like, and understanding, like, what you're doing in some capacity, it's really cool.
I get that feeling. Like, there's a lot of places. I mean, I am not. I would say I am a very good artist, not a great artist. But so there's a lot of things that I don't know and that I'm not very good at. And when I see people doing those things, and like you said, especially if I've tried, I'm like, oh fuck, that's rad. That's the thing. That's what it looks like when it's done.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it does teach you too. Like, you come back from that, like, you can't do it the way they did it, but you can get much closer than you could previously because you're like, yeah, I know a little bit more about the steps to get there.
Yeah. Like it's honest. I also, because, like, I've watched your journey in becoming an artist. Like, you taught me how to draw cartoons in 10th grade.
Way back.
Way back. You know, and I know that you had you had some troubles, like,
absolutely,
like, with developing a style and whatnot for a while there. You know, but I haven't actually seen you draw much in the last like 3 or 4 years, and like coming back and seeing you do this stuff, like just whipping it out and just like laying it down like this, it's really cool, dude.
Well, thank you. I've been working hard to improve. I've had some bigger breakthroughs lately that's felt very nice. All right.
Honestly, that's one of the things I admire most about you is your willingness to work hard.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I think something that I really want to promote on this channel, I feel like I'm someone without a lot of natural aptitude in art. Like I said, I think I've gotten very good. I think there's a big distinction between very good and great, but I've gotten very good. What I'm best at is what I'm doing here, which is doing something quickly. I think I can get more done in this amount of time than a lot of people can. But I don't think I have really any natural aptitude for art. Like, there's certain things that have come easy to me in art. But overall, the people around me who I really admire have taken to concepts a lot quicker than I have. But I really want to pitch the idea here. Something that I want to represent on this channel is that you don't have to be capable of making the best art. You don't have to be obscenely naturally talented to make things that are worthwhile, to have fun, and to make things that people enjoy, and to contribute to the idea of art on the whole. I think a lot of people really do struggle with that. Like, they feel like if they can't be the best, that there's no reason to contribute, there's no reason to make. And I think both for your own satisfaction and just because, like, lots of things can be good without being the best. And lots of things can be unique. Lots of things, you can make something that an artist better than you never would have thought of making. And I think that that's cool and important. And thank you for the compliment. The hard work is obviously, like, whether or not you have natural aptitude, hard work is the way you get better.
Oh, absolutely.
The way you're able to present the ideas that you want to.
Yeah.
So something you're going to note right now is a lot of these multiply lines I'm putting in here are going to look really awkward in the distance. That's because as there's more atmosphere between you and what you're looking at, so as something gets further away, it generally becomes lower contrast because a lot of the edges are sanded out by the presence of the atmosphere, because the air, the reason the sky is blue is air is slightly bluish. So as you get further away, everything should get less and less contrast. So we're going to come through and we're actually going to fine tune our multiply layers later, very shortly, so that the further away things are going to have lower contrast and the nearer things are going to have higher contrast. And that's going to get a feeling of depth that right now I think we're going to be really lacking for a while. Mm-hmm. That's something that I think people don't think about doing enough, which is if you're using a multiply layer, you can add another blending type on top of your multiply layer to alter its color so that the color it's putting on your art is changed.
Yeah. Multiple to multiple.
Yeah.
You ever worry about your multiplier getting too high and your computer exploding?
With my older computer I did. This thing's a beast. You know? Too many layers, the other one would explode.
Oh, goodness. I guess I'm going to use a word, rasterize.
Uh-huh.
If every layer is rasterized. I just pissed off a lot of people who know what that means.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not one of those people.
Cool, I'm going to use it because I'm not going to piss you off and you can deal with the consequences.
Hey, comments, come at Kristan for not knowing what rasterize means, even though I also don't.
Come leave comments on this stream that I already watched, so I'm not going to watch it again.
Look, there is no expectation that you're going to watch the VOD.
So, VOD? Is VOD just highlights of the stream?
VOD is just an upload of the stream after the fact, unedited.
Oh, it's a vodcast.
Yeah. Look, I don't know what the etymology of anything is.
So here's the thing, like, with podcasting, a lot of editing is done so that the people who are podcasting don't look like fools or,
yeah.
I imagine bigots by accident.
Yeah, you're going to accidentally say something that sounds bad at some point, maybe.
which is why I wonder why streaming is a thing at all, because there's no editing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
A fair point.
Frightening.
Yeah, at any point you could accidentally say something that will make you look bad, and that's just it. And you don't take it back, and you live in that world now.
Yeah. I guess that's why there are very few streamers who aren't stuck in a controversy somehow.
Yeah, because the way people talk when, in general, looks bad under a microscope.
Yeah. Like, if you took everything I said every single day and you reviewed it, I've got a lot of things I say in a vacuum with no context. Like, I'm just the worst person.
Probably, but you know.
Dry sense of humor, I've been told. So here's hoping that Lyndon, how many streams have you done so far?
I have done 3, but I'll say worth noting that I might not be uploading the other ones because there was a lot of audio issues. Oh, sorry, this is the 3rd.
Okay. Yeah, because if you don't upload the VOD, then the stream is just, it's like in the ether.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of this and color our shadow slightly. Yeah, I do have the first one downloaded, but yeah, the audio quality is just, I think, not quite up to snuff, unfortunately. But the art is going to be on the Discord. By the way, if anyone wants to get their D&D character drawn, that's going to be a lot of what we do here. And all you have to do is head to the Discord, you enter the pitch your character room, and if I feel like you'd be a good presence on the show, and I feel like I'd really like to draw your character, I will bring you on, and we can have a conversation while you tell me all about your D&D game, all the adventures your character's been on, and the like. If you're an expert in something or just a huge fan of something, and you think it'd be fun to talk about it, you can also come into the room that... what is that one called? I'd like to talk about, I think, and basically tell me what your expertise is or what your passion is, and pitch yourself as a guest to come on and talk about what you want to. The second this is up on YouTube as a VOD, I'm going to be opening the Discord up publicly, and people can come on and tell me what they'd like to talk about. Which I think is going to be a lot of fun.
Lyndon, this may just be my opinion, but the shade that you've put around... I know you're going for glowing red eyes, but he just kind of looks drunk and horny now.
Well, now I've got to keep it. I'll try to find a way to make it a little bit less of that.
I think it's the pink. I don't know. I might be completely off base here.
Look. This is the wild west of the rendering zone, where we've got a lot to figure out. There's no rules, no one can hold us back, and we are entirely off course.
Nothing is true. Everything is permitted.
Exactly.
The giant snake eel is blushing real hard at Luffy right now.
I think you mean Kaido's first son.
Kaido's first son.
Kaido's first son is blushing. Yeah, we've developed lore for this guy, for Kaido's first son.
There isn't any actual lore for Kaido's first son, is there? He's just a sea monster who lives near East Blue for some reason, even though there's not supposed to be Sea Kings in East Blue.
I thought there were Sea Kings. They were just he's the Lord of the Coast, which are the weak Sea Kings.
Oh yeah, I
thought that was it.
He never left his hometown.
Yeah.
About high school a lot.
This is the Sea King nobody thinks is cool. There we go. There we go. All right. I think we're going to go slightly over the 90-minute goal, but that's okay. We have 2 hours booked, and I don't think we're going to get quite up to 2 hours needed. But we're going to do some extra rendering real quick to get some shine.
How dare you say that about my dad?
This isn't actually the beginning of the series. This is the rematch when he finds out that Luffy punched Kaido.
Very upset.
You punched my dad!
I've been taking speech therapy so I can say words now. I was a mute before.
Wait, is Kaido's son dead on the back of this, or is he still alive? Is he being popped up for air often enough?
Oh God, I don't know.
We've got to decide.
I feel like if a smile fruit user, I feel like the animal could only attain the transfer of sentient thought if the human part dies, right?
Yeah, so I think he's dead, and I think he just also considers himself Kaido's son.
Yeah. He must, because the animals aren't grafted on; they're a part of the.
Yeah, they grow out of them. So this is Kaido's son now.
He's Kaido's son.
If people Google image search Kaido's son, this is what they'll see.
Man, I'm gonna start spamming the stream chat so that the SEO procs to it. Kaido's son, Kaido's son, Kaido's son.
This is Kaido's son. A recurring character in One Piece, beloved character of fiction, Kaido's son. Alright, there's a couple of things we're going to do here that are going to really make a lot of difference. The first of which is shading some clouds.
I like the 2D cloud look. I don't know.
It's going to be nearly 2D. It's not going to... We're going to treat this multiply layer in a sec to make it a lot lighter. This is the less important of the two. It's the one that's going to be a little bit less impactful of the two things we're going to be doing. Okay. Now we're gonna
I'm gonna talk about Luffy in a non-spoilery about things.
Do it.
That's the reason. So, from classical animation standpoint, when someone winds up for a punch, they usually spin their arm, right? When they're being cartoony.
Yeah.
But Luffy, he needs a very long room.
Yeah.
To do a big old punch, right?
To do the classic big old punch from a cartoon, this boy would need a lot more space than your average Popeye.
I think, we were talking about planning things out. I really seriously have my doubts that Oda had the current 20 series arc, the last 20 chapters in mind when he drew Luffy doing his first big ol' stretch punch.
Yeah.
But if he had, is it clever to make him do a non-classic wind-up?
So you know what? I've not for this reason, but I have thought about something similar before, which is just the idea that when we see Luffy as a kid later, he tries to do the classic cartoony wind-up, and it keeps failing. And I felt like it was clever that he didn't, because he that was his instinct, and he was like, okay, this keeps getting my ass kicked. It's not actually a good idea. But with what you're talking about with recent events, that also makes a lot of sense of like, you know, how could he get away with doing a big classic wind-up?
Yeah.
Under what circumstances could he?
Mm-hmm. Because it's not like anyone else is doing the classic.
Yeah.
Because it's called a wind-up because you're winding your arm. That's where the term comes from. You're winding up.
Yeah.
You're tightening the spring. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you know what? I think this is coming together.
I think it is.
I'm just going to do some of this on top, which is a lovely cheat where once your render's in place and there's a bunch of errors still, you just draw on top of the errors to fix them with the colors that you know are now there.
Ah, so you get extra detail and you don't have to go over and correct things.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Good.
But yeah, it's been lovely talking to you about One Piece. I'd love to do this again and talk about something else, or just get more in detail. Talk about something more specific. Talk about maybe a particular arc or something like that. Because I think it's easier to get it's easy to get a lot of conversation when you're being a bit more specific. Being broad like this, I really just wanted to be grateful for One Piece and grateful for you for introducing it to me. But in the future, I think it'd be fun to talk about some of our favorite arcs. I would honestly love to spend any amount of time talking about Enies Lobby.
Oh, for sure. I might revisit it just to have more time.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Talking about D&D characters too.
Yeah.
I know talking about D&D characters in front of other people is a little bit like talking about dreams.
It can feel that way.
It makes a lot of sense to you, but to me, this is just a bunch of non sequiturs put together.
But D&D stories are popular on YouTube for a reason, and I think people do like hearing about the game, especially people who want to play and don't have a group for it.
That's true.
So I think there's going to be something
to you.
It was good talking to you as well. I'm going to stay on here for a while and just do the fine-tuning, but since we're pretty well done, we're going to call that for the chat. Thanks for coming on. Everybody remember to please subscribe, please comment, please like. I'm told all of that's helpful, and this channel is going to take off, but I think it'd be really funny if it took off in a way that nobody could ever predict, way faster than makes sense, and you subscribing, telling your friends about it, is how we do it. In fact, this is the call to arms. If you are talking about this show, talking about the stream, anything like that, don't introduce it the way you normally introduce a small channel where you're going to be like, oh yeah, there's a small YouTuber, I've been checking it out. No. Treat it like it's already an established name. That's the secret, and that's what I'm requesting everyone out there who wants to help to do. Just go out there and be like, yeah, I was watching the Drawk show. And leave it at that, and only explain if people ask. All right, and thanks again, Kristan, for coming on. Have an awesome rest of the day.
You too. And good luck with your rapid ascent.
Oh, thank you for the good luck. But as long as you out there do what I've requested of you, luck isn't needed. We are succeeding. All right.
Oh no, you're succeeding. I'm
yeah,
just worried.
100%.
The bend. You're gonna get the bends from how fast they're going up.
Oh, of course. Thank you. No, that is important.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Kristan. Thanks again. Bye.